welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm coming on a little bit later. I just want to try and grab the open with you all. So what's the story? A poll has revealed that only 37% of Americans actually approve of Trump and his economic stance. That ain't good. That just tells you that a lot of people are playing the stock market. That's what that's telling you. Today's live stream, man, we're going to break it all down for you. I'm going to try and keep this one short and sweet. We are blessed with a wonderful headache today, so I can barely stare at this camera, especially with this mad light in front of me. But anyways, Bitcoin's seen a nice little bit of movement to the upside, guys. We saw some movement last night because Trump said that he's not going to get rid of Powell anymore. What is he doing? Honestly, what is he doing? Powell's staying, bro. Like, Powell ain't going nowhere. And that just pretty much shows you who really runs the show. Who is running the show right now? Does Trump, or is Trump aware that he is being investigated potentially for market manipulation? I mean, you can't really do much to him, but might give a little bit of a slap of a wrist and be like, don't do it again. But when he said in that meeting in the Oval Office that he made 2.5 billion and he made 900 million, I don't think he was meant to say that out loud, but you can see what's going on. Today's live stream, we're going to break it all down for you, ladies and gentlemen. Try and keep this one short and sweet for you. Just give you the information that you need to know and give you an overview of what we can expect going into today. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, do all of that fun and games, and let's get with the program. Here we go. In front of you is dollar and euro. Why do we need to focus on this? Well, earlier on this morning, an ECB speaker was saying, do not undermine the safe haven of the dollar. They're really trying to sell the idea that the dollar's okay. No, it's not. It's at 98.744, and there is a possibility that this thing could actually continue to go down lower. We can see on the left right now, euro has had some whipsaw price action going into the Asian session last night, and that was only because of what Trump said regarding Jerome Powell. Now, why did euro do so much? Because investors then thought, okay, if he's not going to get rid of Powell, then that means it's good news for us. Because then we don't have to worry about who's going to be coming into play. Looks like things are going to stay as normal, go back to normal. Dollar's going to climb up because they're not changing anything regarding the Federal Reserve. And then the euro takes a nosedive to the downside. And that just shows you that investors are in the safe haven of the euro. Because if they're showing signs that the US economy is not looking so great, given that most Americans now think that we're going into a recession, then that kind of puts things into perspective why investors are getting rid of safe haven assets. Euro's going down, gold's going down, the yen's going down. The dollar is a little bit behind with its movement to the upside, but nonetheless, going over into all, you can see gold right now is trading down 2%. So the hedging event is now due to start happening. Now, the problem that we've got is that we've got the interest rate story again. Doesn't look like they're going to be cutting. So you don't get rid of Powell, you don't get any interest rate cuts. That naturally then increases the value of the US dollar. Gold then starts to reiterate and come back down again. Now going into the news announcements, there's the boy right there. You know, he's safe, ladies and gentlemen. He's very safe. But Tesla missed its earnings estimate. Quickly going over into Tesla right now, you can see it's actually trading positive. $255 in the pre-market. This company missed its estimates, but the idea is that Elon's going to be going back into Tesla and he's going to be paying close attention to that and focusing on that bad boy. So it looks like investors are liking the sound of that. Now, with that being said, guys, let's just get with the program a second. Good old Bitcoin. Well. Nice little flavorsome move to the upside right there. Now, Bitcoin does look like it's poised to try and continue to the upside itself. Did I nearly say moon? What a guy. Anyways. Looking at this, we've got lots of liquidations coming into play. We've got lots of guys who are wanting to offer Bitcoin out. But a word of caution, we do have bid players coming in that are eager to get Bitcoin on the cheap on the idea that it does retrace. But given that we've had around $900 million worth of inflows into the ETF itself, it kind of puts things into perspective that it looks like everyone is very optimistic right now in the space of crypto, except for this dude right here. According to McGlone, he's sort of always had a bit of a bearish forecast for Bitcoin. But he says the following things here. Listen to this. He goes, bear market bounce or a new bull. My bias is the former. Bitcoin, Gold Cross, and Dogecoin have the same chart syndrome. Trendline support is holding, but I expect it to eventually be breached as the US stock market drops for the recession that did not come in 2023. Well, where are we in terms of the odds of a recession? Well, there's a 20% chance that the US is going to go into a recession. 20% chance the US is going to go into a recession. Where's investors' heads at? Well, risk is off right now, but we're seeing a little bit of a recovery back up, and we're going into levels that we haven't seen in quite a while, especially in a whole year. So risk is starting to come back on, but it's not fully back on yet because they're trying to gauge the sentiment about what to expect with Trump and the tariffs. A deal with China seems like it's all happy days, but I ain't hearing China saying anything. It's all good saying, yeah, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. We've got to deal with them. I'm not hearing China talk. Here's the poll. 37% of Americans approve of president's handling of the economy. What is it that the Fed speakers always make reference to? They make reference to inflation sentiment, inflation expectations. Because if the nation or people behave a certain way and they're not spending money or they're retaining it, they're not doing much or there's not that much work, naturally they're going to go by that behavior and suggest, yeah, maybe we're going to get inflation going up or we're going to go into a recession because there's a slowdown. Companies are actually slowing down. Tesla missed its earnings estimates, but Tesla's like sort of a meme coin. It's like there's the investors that favor it loads, and then there's the investors that just don't, and they're always shorting it or buying it and what have you. But with that being said, given that only 37% of Americans approve of president's handling, that is pretty dead. But he's not exactly had the greatest start, given that the dollar dominance is still trading negative, okay? Bitcoin's trading beautifully to the upside. We got this story here. New SEC chair will be good for Bitcoin. Good old Saylor says so. Okay, but that's fine. We know he's going to be a crypto-friendly individual, so that's happy days right there. Quickly going over into the ETF, we're still seeing the same balances, 573. We've not, I don't know what's going on here. It's not really uploading a second. Hold on. Have we got any updates on the ETF? We know it's come to around 900 million into the ETF. Here we go. So 40 minutes ago, we saw a couple of sell, well, not sell, but got some activity on the actual BlackRock ETF story itself. So not even the BlackRock. So BlackRock's been pretty quiet. They did pick up a few yesterday, but not really that much activity. But we've got a few purchases coming in from ARK. So that's all good. And Bitcoin looks like it's doing really nicely to go to the upside. Now, the logic is this, ladies and gentlemen. If we've now had a change in sentiment regarding where we are from the macro perspective, the one thing that you need to take into consideration is where are the bonds and the yields relative to that expectation? Check this out. 10-year bond market right now is trading very well. That's good news. What does that mean? It means they're exchanging dollars. That means they're coming out of euros, coming out of yen, going into US. Okay? With that being said, stock market is up 3%. Happy days. That's good news. But what's got my attention is the following. If the euro is trading positive, sort of positive, and investors are actually concerned about the way things are and they need to get out of euro exposure, from a structural point of view, you'd think that euro is due to start rolling over ever so slightly, okay? But from a macro perspective, is that going to be the case? Well, look at where we are with the euro and the rates. Still got 3.62% and 8.13% on the yen, all right? So minus the stories of the tariffs, because we know there's going to be an impact on those later on in sense of inflation. Where are we right now? Well, right now, we are on the idea that interest rates are still going to be high. Trump keeps saying that he wants them to go down, but nah, they're going to stick with their mandate and they're going to keep things as they are because they know that tariffs are going to be a problem. Maybe this is where Trump's going to turn around and be like, look, we're going to do a very nice deal for China. So he's going to probably have a little bit of more relaxation on the tariffs. A sense of relaxation on the tariffs, everything will shoot up. And you've got this this whipsaw price action going off on assets across the board. That doesn't make sense. You've got the euro going up, you've got the dollar going down, they've got the bonds market going up, the stock market going up. So it looks like investors are actually happy at spending low value dollars, okay, to go and buy stocks. So they're using more dollars to buy stocks. It's not making sense. You want to wait till the purchasing power actually does something. You want to wait for the value of the dollar to increase so then you can pick up more stock with less dollars. So you can see that things aren't the way they should be. The 10-year and the 2-year yields are starting to show an interesting picture. 2-year yield is coming down, which is good news. And then the 5-year yield is coming down, which is good news. And the 10-year yield is coming down aggressively, which is good news. So when the yields go down, the stock market goes up. But to correlate that, we need to see the bond market moving up, which is what it's doing. So right now, it seems like investors are now playing the idea of good news. So because Trump's calmed down on the tariffs. So when you go and look at Bitcoin, when you go and look at the VIX, what is investors' expectations of everything? Well, that's at 28. It looks like it's gapping down. We got a little bit of a gap down here. And then you've got the VIX itself, right? Live trading right now. So it's saying 25.02. So that's going lower. So the idea is that today should be an update. That's, of course, if Trump doesn't turn around and say something stupid. Here's his calendar. He's going to be doing receiving his intelligence briefing. And, of course, he's going to be signing executive orders. Maybe he should sign an executive order about XRP and get rid of that bad boy. I'm not going to get into that anyways. Let's just quickly go over back into Bitcoin. So looking at Bitcoin's price action, 4-hour time frame, just going over to the daily time frame just to put it into perspective for you all. So this would be, as you may have heard me talking about, this is the third candle, okay? This is the third candle that needs to form to suggest the idea that we're going into what could be a rally to the upside. From a liquidations perspective, we do have quite a few liquidation points that could be getting taken out going across the board. So you've got a few liquidations just below the 96 region itself. And you got someone right here around 95,000. There was around $300 million worth of short liquidations that got taken on this rally to the upside. But with that being said, going into the daily time frame, this candlestick needs to close strong. If it closes strong, then we are what could look like to be the potential rally towards the 100K mark. Okay? But you've got to be careful of this vector. You have to be careful of this zone. If Bitcoin does come back down and tests this 90,000 and fails it, ladies and gentlemen, it's back down we go. What news announcements could do that? Maybe talks between China breaking down? Who knows? But you're waiting for this candlestick today to show its worth. I'm not liking the fact that it's swept up and it's not really following through. But then again, the market opens in the next 7 minutes or so. Okay? So just take that into consideration. Going into the day, we do have some news announcements. We've got the manufacturing data that's been released. You've got a Waller speaking at 2:30 UK time, which will be in the next 10, 15 minutes. And then you've got the flash manufacturing data for the US. If the manufacturing data comes in and shows that there is expansion in the US economy, that's happy days. Don't need to cut the interest rates. Really don't. But manufacturing sectors across the board seem to be a little bit laggard in their behavior. The German manufacturing sector itself came in lower, and then it's still below 50. So if it's below 50, it means it's a contraction in the sector itself. So just take that into consideration, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions, guys? Tino, are miners selling? I'll tell you now. I don't think miners are selling, but we'll know very shortly. Let's see on Bitcoin's pump yesterday if the miners are actually selling. This is the miners position index. Mad days. Woo. Come on. Come on. Nope, they're not selling. Oh, yes, they are. Sorry. Just been updated. Miners are selling. They sold yesterday. So that could be a bit of a problem for us, guys, if the miners are selling. Because you can see what's going on with this chart. The miners are all over the place. Look at where they sold before. They sold aggressively at 79. Now they're selling aggressively at 93. That makes sense to sell at 93. What doesn't make sense is to sell at the lows. But that could mean that they're actually trying to raise some capital, trying to get some money together, maybe because they're updating the rigs and what have you and turning on the machines as such. But that doesn't make sense. You want to be selling at 79. Nah, man, you don't want to do that. That shows you that some miners are like inconsistent with the idea of where price is likely to end up. And now Bitcoin shut up. They're not taking any chances and they're now selling the Bitcoin, as you can see right there. Okay, cool. Tino, smart money, dumb money. Smart money, dumb money chart is showing a very interesting story. Smart money is at levels that it hasn't been to in a very long time. Okay, and I don't know how long that line can go up for. I've not seen it go up to those levels in a very, very long time. Let's just have a look. So here is let's have a look at the 15-year chart. Like, look at that. We have not been to this level since, we were 83, 0.83 and 0.85. Where we are right now is 0.85. And the last highest reading was 0.83. We ain't been to those levels before. Not in a long time. It's 2012. Yeah, nearly 13 years ago, man. We haven't been to those levels. And that is crazy. So smart money is actively buying up as much of everything as it can. Maybe this retrace. But guys, remember, yeah, the stock market does recover from every single crash. It has a 100% success rate. But the idea is, do you have the ability to sit through the drawdown? That's why you've got to pace yourself when you are taking investments. If you're going to prepare yourself for the next bull run, given that we've got high inflation, fears of a recession, we've got an inconsistent president who is just using his phone every 5 minutes to put out what he's saying with tariffs and deals and what have you, there's no stability in the marketplace. $6.5 trillion is still in the ETF markets. They can't be in there. They have to be in the market. They have to be seeking high risk. That's why you get these nice rallies. Reason why guys go into the ETF marketplace is because they want to hedge themselves and protect themselves against situations like this. So you've got to be very careful. If you make money on Bitcoin going from 86 to 95, take something off the table. Then I'll get the guys that will say, oh, this guy was telling you to sell on Bitcoin, went onto 150K. Well, take the profit, but then get back in. Do something about it. Don't sell your Bitcoin and just sit there and play with your balls and not think about doing anything else and then wait for Bitcoin to go up and be like, you said to sell. Shit, man. Take some profit so that you can get back in and be in for less time and earn more money. That's trading 101. Ladies and gentlemen, mad love and respect. I hope that helps you. I hope it all makes sense. And I'm going to just rest my eyes because my head is fried. Hit the like button and subscribe on the way out, ladies and gentlemen, and pay yourselves and get rid of XRP. Mad love and respect. That is not financial advice, by the way. That is common sense. Take care of yourselves, gang. Peace.